Good morning, everyone. My name is Jordan. I'm the online editor with Labels and Labeling magazine. And this morning I'm sitting down with Adam Peak for the next installation of our coffee chat series. So good morning, Adam.
Good morning. Cheers. I got my
Cheers
coffee
to you.
ready to
Look
go.
at you. Do you want to give us a quick run through of who you are, what you do?
So I was born in California,
We're
and
starting really at the beginning.
okay, I won't go. I'll skip past that. I currently work in business development and channel partnership with Fortis Solutions Group. Been here for, I guess, 13 months, 14 months. I have 5 kids, which is awesome, that are all under the age of 13, and 1 wife, and that's great news. Um, let's see, I host the People of Packaging podcast with my friend Ted, and I love talking about, and I just kind of live and breathe labels, flexible packaging, shrink sleeves, and have recently become quite infatuated with the convergence of blockchain and crypto with labels and packaging, which is a weird thing,
Little
but
niche.
yeah. But I'm getting my MBA right now, and that's what my focus is on: supply chain and blockchain. And so I've been just I wake up almost every morning. My wife's like, "Are you really? This is what you're thinking about?" I'm like, yes, I am."
You're like, it's Tuesday. Let's discuss blockchain.
Yeah, exactly,
Well, good for
exactly.
you for getting your MBA. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
You seem to have your fingers in a lot of different pots of the packaging industry. I know you have been keeping very busy in the pandemic, not only
Yeah.
with your MBA, but I just saw you started a series with your kids of unboxing stuff.
Yeah, my kids love to open things like a lot of kids do. And it's funny because my wife and I are actually fairly, like, our family, we're pretty private online. We don't post anything on Instagram or Facebook or, Twitter or any of the other platforms. Um, but I saw it as kind of an opportunity to teach my children about packaging and to sort of show them how the world is working. So I'm not going to like put all of their personal stuff. I sort of want to give my children the gift of internet anonymity a little bit when they get older.
Yeah.
Um, but this is kind of a cool opportunity because they're always looking at my stuff, and they're always wanting to know what's this and what's that. And I've taken my kids to some of our production facilities. On business trips before, and I just really I like that my children can know what I'm doing. And on a broader scale, I think the packaging industry, it's such an awesome industry. It's huge. It's a $1 trillion global industry. And I think there's something to be said about engaging children in it because they naturally want to engage. They love, the other day, my oldest son, who's 13, cut up a corrugated box and made my youngest son, who's 5, a shield that said Sir T Rex a lot and a sword. And they just had a blast cutting up corrugated and slapping labels on it. And I was like, these kids are great. Like, this
Yeah.
should be something. So I decided to find some products that they like and show them how to make an unboxing video.
Well, I think labels and packaging can kind of be like a stuffy industry, but it's really genuinely fun. And I think bringing kids into that is a great way to show it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're actually writing. My wife and I are writing a children's book
Oh,
about
how fun.
packaging. So I'm not sure quite. We have a publisher. We're waiting on a few things to sort of get sorted out, but then we'll have a kid's book that will hopefully have a unique personalized, or not personalized, but a unique label on the inside of every of the inside of the cover.
Yeah.
Remember, like, the old library books,
Yeah.
where you check out the library and you'd have the little
The
thing you
card
pull
with
out.
the return date. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have that little sleeve, but on the inside of it would be a label that says something like, just like you, this label is special and unique, or something like that. And then I can color on it and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Oh, how cool. You really
yeah,
are keeping busy.
yeah, my
So
brain doesn't stop
you
going.
are very involved in the packaging industry, but this was not the start of your career. You had a kind of a different career before then. So how did you go from being a pastor to being a labels professional?
I never really left pastoring per se. So I actually, that was my full-time job for a while out of college. I thought that was going to be my full-time job for my career. Um, and my wife and I had our first child. She was sort of she was the primary breadwinner, and she wanted to stay home with our kids, and I wanted her to be able to do that. And so I needed a job. So I got a job working for my uncle at his packaging company in Carlsbad, California. So shout out to Peak Packaging, uh, and which is great. I still keep in touch with them all the time. Um, but I moved back to Colorado from California to start a church. Actually, my coffee mug, oddly enough, is Aletheia Church. So it was the church that I started with some friends. I helped pastor that for 8 years. It's still thriving and growing, and in Colorado Springs. And part of a church here. I actually get to preach this weekend. I'm not sure when this will come out, but I'm preaching on the 21st. So it'll either be after, or that'll either be before this is published, or I don't know when this,
Or after, who's to
or
say,
after.
really?
Who
It'll be a
knows? Who
surprise.
knows? It's fine. It's fine. You can either watch it live or watch it recorded. But so I'm still involved. I really fell in love with packaging though as my full-time job when I started to realize that the thing that I loved about preaching and pastoring is around the idea of it's called the evangelion, or like the person who would be the bringer of good news, meaning it was like you'd go into a city and you'd be like, "Burr, burr, burr," you'd play your trumpet and you'd be like, good news, we're here. And sometimes that meant bad news for the people because it meant that they were going to be destroyed. But so that's the worst part of the story, actually.
Good news is
Um,
relative to who's
it's
saying
just
it, really.
it's just relative, yeah. Um, but when I started to really involve myself in the issues facing the world, things like climate change and global warming, and then I connected that to the packaging industry, and I went, oh, we have a massive role to play in this. Particularly like at a company like Fortis, where we're making flexible packaging and labels for a lot of food companies. Well, food waste is the third largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions behind China and the United States. So, creating packaging that drastically reduces food waste and extends shelf life is a hugely important topic. And so, once like Simon Sinek has his like Start With Why book, once I connected that and I realized that this was more than a job, this could become a passion, and it was connected to my desire to be caring for my neighbor and for people and for the world. It wasn't, I never really felt like I left my pastoral ministry. It just, the medium shifted. And it's not like I'm going around like knocking, like I'm not like going into businesses like, hey, Jesus loves you, you want to buy
Yeah.
packaging from me? That's not what I mean. But it's more just the core tenets of my faith connected to what I'm doing in a very real way. So it felt pretty natural.
Yeah. So, given all of that, I think you are uniquely suited to give some insights on what do you think makes work meaningful?
Well, I mean, for me, it was connecting it to something greater than a paycheck, I guess. And not everybody has that opportunity. I'm not saying that that's the only way. For some people, I think work is meaningful in and of itself because it is providing food for that week. And I don't want to minimize that. Some of these conversations about like what makes work meaningful come from a very, like, I'll call it like a privileged position. Like I feel privileged to have a lot of meaning in my work. And I recognize that for a lot of people, work is the thing that they have to do to provide from a paycheck to paycheck basis. So I don't want to minimize that. Um, I do think if you are able to really connect with something more existential, that can help drive a lot of meaning into your job. So for me, I have I call it the happiness habit, and so every day I try to write down one personal and one business thing that I say to myself, if I do this, I'll feel pretty happy. It's not like a to-do list. It's not, the most important thing I have to take care of. I just go, if I get to the end of the day and I've accomplished this thing, then that'll make me really happy. I'll be like, be super pumped. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of one very practical thing that I like to do.
Yeah, and I do think that there's no one size fits all of having meaningful work, because sometimes it is, I got to provide for my family this week. That means a lot. And other
Yeah,
times it is, I got to do that and I had this passion and my job fulfills that passion for me. But I don't think one is necessarily greater than the other. And I think you can find meaning in any work that you're doing,
for sure. Yeah,
at least
I
from the
totally.
research I'm doing.
No, I totally agree. It's not. I want to be really careful because sometimes the answer to that question sounds so grandiose that I think people feel left behind with the answers. And I the thing that I think is probably critical across everything is that your work does not define your value. Um, I actually have a quote behind me from Lauryn Hill that my friend Andrea Hardiman she made, which is awesome. It says, "How are you going to win if you ain't right within?" And it's from this old Lauryn Hill song. Lauryn Hill's the greatest artist, but really, it's like the idea of meaning and worth should not be tied to your bank account. Like, coming to a realization that you are meaningful because you exist is a really that's a deep place to get to. But I think it's really like, like Lauryn Hill said, like winning is tied to, unearthing who you really are inside, not the external factors that you can't really control.
Yeah.
Was that philosophical enough for you?
Yeah. And I think, in fact, we should scale it down philosophically and go at a very light level. What are you
Okay.
looking forward to when the pandemic ends?
So there's a connection there.
Oh, okay.
Because I like going to live music when
Yeah.
I can, and live sporting events. So, if there were a Fuji's World Tour, I would go to it and I would be there with all of my closest friends. I had a moment this was 2018, 2019. I'm not sure. I was in New York City for work. I got there on a Sunday. I had meetings all day Monday. And Lupe Fiasco, who's a hip hop artist, was playing a show. And so I got to go to the show, and it was just unbelievable. Just the energy and the movement. They actually told me at the door because I had to give my ID. And they said, they were like, Utah? And I was like, yeah. He's like, are you sure you're in the right place? I'm like, oh, I'm definitely in the right place. It was awesome. So I missed that. I love live sporting events, particularly basketball. And I think just being with people without feeling like I'm a threat to this person's health um, is going to be like hugging people. I do like the hand slap hug a lot, and I
Yeah.
can't do that, and I don't just trying to so little
Fist
things
bumps
and
don't
big
quite cut
things.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, then like being in a church building with all of my closest spiritual friends and family is going to be fantastic. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Online can only do so much.
It's so true. Yeah.
So, other question that I think might have a complex answer. You recently gave a TED Talk. Do you have any idea when that is coming out?
Yeah, so complicated answer as I'm finding out. This is the first time I've gone through. So to be clear, it's TEDx Salt Lake City. So it's a TEDx talk, which is an independently organized TEDx, or part of the TED community. And it was an incredible experience. I put in probably 100 hours worth of work for a 10-minute talk. It grew me in ways that I would never. I would do it again in a heartbeat. The people that I met are so incredible. So we gave the talk in September, and it's such a unique year. Typically what happens is, the talk is given live. It's then uploaded to the TEDx platform. It's sort of vetted for content, and then it goes out. Well, they've had so many of these videos because so many of them were done virtually that I'm just sort of, my video is just kind of stuck in this queue to be reviewed. So it was uploaded again a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we missed it, and we'll take a look at it." So when that's going to happen is
Yeah,
anyone's guess.
in the wind kind of thing.
Yeah, but it was a giving a passionate talk in front of 12 people in an auditorium that seats like 3,000 is quite an experience.
Yeah. So, can you give us like a little sneak peek of what your topic was?
Yeah, totally. So it was about shocker packaging, and actually a little bit about what we talked about, how packaging is good news and how I connected that to my passion. And so I just detailed, that what these companies are starting to do. So companies like Unilever with their carbon labeling initiative, they're going to label 70,000 products with a carbon rating. That's an undertaking. Local companies like Cotopaxi and Young Living here in Utah, and some of the work that they're doing around sustainability with packaging. What millennial and Gen Z buyers how they're starting to vote with their dollars and drive companies, like big, companies like Walmart and Amazon, who are not just writing down like sustainability goals, but really pushing, like with the Gigaton project and a lot of Amazon's initiatives. So, like that, there's hope that the packaging industry is trying to solve, and then even smaller things like these small companies that are emerging to like mine our landfills for energy, and another company that's mining carbon from the atmosphere and converting it into cellulose. It's just really awesome stuff. So it's more just like a hopeful message about awesome things that are happening in the packaging space, that I hope people get excited about.
I cannot wait to see it personally. I'm very excited to see that.
Yeah, it's there. I promise you, I did it, and it was recorded, and I've watched it. I feel like people are like, sure, buddy, whatever. Way to put
Yeah,
that on your
proof's in the
bio.
pudding. See the video and then we'll believe it, kind of thing.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I had a wonderful time talking to you, and I'm grateful you were so generous with your time and that you brought your own props.
I
I
brought
mean,
my
what
own
more could I
coffee.
ask for?
I brought my
Well,
own coffee. I got my own mic. By the way, this mic is like $40 on Amazon. If you want, I mean, this isn't. You can just
it
go
looks.
get yourself a nice mic, right? Like, when are
Well,
video calls going away? They're not going to go away for a while. I'm telling you.
I gotta get yourself a ring light, a mic, and then you're ready to go for 2021. Keep that energy going.
100%.
Well, again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing your TED Talk whenever it comes out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks, Jordan.